Hi everyone, it's Becky here. Welcome to another new video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm taking the bus and the SkyTrain to New Westminster. I'm gonna find a cafe to have a quick breakfast and then sketch a cityscape around.
Columbia, doors will open on the right.
Here I am at Coaster's Coffee, not so far from Columbia SkyTrain station. I think it's a new cafe. The interior looks like brand new. And it's not too busy here, very quiet. So I got a breakfast wrap and a cup of iced latte. I'm gonna just sketch my cup of iced latte. I'm starting with the ellipse shape of the opening, interrupted by this bending straw here. Just finish the straw and then finish the ellipse. The thickness of the glass and these ice cubes floating on top in various round rectangles. Accentuate the bottom of the ice cube a little bit and as well as the straw, the body part of the glass and the base of the glass, which is pretty thick, the liquid line of my iced coffee and some more ice cubes popping up here on the side of the liquid line. Accentuate the bottom a little bit and draw a little platform for my glass to sit on. Yeah, so that's it for the drawing process. It's a quick 2-minute drawing. Now I'm ready to paint watercolors very spontaneously, just wetting the whole area with clear water, mixing yellow, orange, and a tiny bit of burnt sienna for the first layer. Yeah, the coffee contains a pretty high ratio of milk, and so this kind of a yellow-brown color. Wet onto wet, a less diluted orange-brown. So orange mixed with burnt sienna. Accentuate the top part of the ice cubes. And I'm also adding 3-dimensionality for the glass by shading it on the left side, as you can see. Very quick dashes of gray on the base and a reflective brown for the base of the cup. Very important, and shade it even further for higher contrast using more of a muted brown color, leaving the middle part nice and bright to depict the surface of a cylinder. The shadow of a glass vessel is very reflective of the liquid inside, so a diluted brown for the first layer of the shadow, blending some leftover gray around it. And that's it. Here is my quick 5-minute sketch of my iced coffee. So after eating and drinking, I'm just looking around and I really want to sketch this couple here with a backdrop of a rainforest print on the back wall there. It's going to be just fitting behind my cup of iced coffee. Starting with the hat of the man, he's wearing headphones, looking down. I think he has mustache. Drawing his neck, shoulders, and his cup of coffee in front of him, his little table. Accentuate his collar a little bit, short sleeve, and then finishing the thick table edge. Around his feet is his cute little dog slumbering, right in between him and his partner. Finishing that area, and then his bag beside him, the edge of his bench, and then drawing his shorts. His legs are bending and kind of foreshortened. Here's actually another chair in front of him, covering most of his lower body. And the chair is kind of like a wicker's chair, legs, a bit of perspective of a cube. And finishing the edge of the bench. This guy was swiping on his phone, finishing his legs and his shoes. This short horizontal line towards the right to define the height of the bench, so the dog is actually laying on the floor and not floating in the air. Finishing the slanting wall behind him, and then the bang of his partner, the hair. Drawing the face really quickly. They're all looking down, very busy working on their businesses. And after that, I'm ready to draw a little house plant and some more greeneries laid out around this wall. Adding the tip of another house plant sticking in there on the right. Now drawing these very skinny lamps hanging down from the ceiling, the base and the bulb, and then the edge of the ceiling connected with the back wall here. Yeah, so on the back wall there's a large print of a rainforest. Yeah, the border or the frame of that print. Now I'm ready to doodle the contour outlines of these trees. Yeah, so over the years I've been drawing this species of trees, the pine trees, very often in my everyday sketches, including the forest outside my window. Accentuate those houseplants against the wall there in the foreground a little bit, and writing down a little title, the place, Coaster's Coffee, the day and the date. Yeah, so this is just a really small and casual little cafe sketch. Just want to fill this half page here. Next time when I come back, I'm probably going to do a larger interior sketch. So as you can see, this interior contains a lot of muted colors. But first of all, I'm going to glaze the underpainting with a diluted lemon yellow with a little bit yellow ochre, punching on the yellows for the lamps, and then the skin colors for these people. Mixing hooker's green with a little bit burnt sienna to paint the first layer of these trees. Using my leftover gray to paint that overcast sky on top of the trees. Using pinks and purples to paint the guy's shirt. And mix my own muted green. So I see the concrete wall. It's kind of a greenish gray. The shadow is more bluish gray. So when I'm mixing these grays, I play with a ratio of cobalt blue, hooker's green, and a little bit of magenta. The more blue I mix into these three colors, the more bluish gray it's going to look like. And then adding these yellow-orange color for the dog. Another layer for the rainforest. A more concentrated hooker's green with a bit of burnt sienna, leaving some parts untouched for a foggy effect of the rainforest. And then painting the bench with yellow-orange. So far I have a good balance of warm and cold colors. The coffee, the bench, the skin colors, the lamp, along with the cold colors of the forest and the concrete wall. Here's the look of my finished sketch. It took me about just like 25 minutes or so. Now, after eating and drinking, just hanging around New Westminster's Old Town area, and finally I'm sitting outside the table and chairs of a sandwich company, which is closed today because it's they're on a vacation. So I'm taking over this whole table here to do a sketch. So using the big tray here on the very left, it acts as a ruler for the height of other things. Now I'm drawing a man crossing the street, using very quick eyeballing to see where the top of his head is aligning with the tree. Now drawing his cuff, which is thinner than his thigh, his shoes, extremely foreshortened, seen from the back here. So that's his walking gesture. And determining the side of the sidewalk there, right above his shoes. Now I am drawing this other foreground element. It's this flower shrub with very random vines and leaves and cute little red flowers that look like roses. So I'm focusing on these stalks of the shrub and then building up the leaves on both sides of each stalk, flowers on top. Yeah, so the shapes of these vines and leaves are a little wild, and it's hard to determine a stable pattern. So I'm just kind of quickly summarizing what I'm seeing. So instead of scribbling those leaves out, I'm trying to find these vines and then tie these leaves together on the vines. Yeah, again, finding another one, leaning at a 45-degree angle towards the middle. So I found the tree here on the very left side, and the vines, the leaves and flowers here on the bottom. They act as frame for this urban sketch. It's going to tie all the buildings and the clusters of streetscape all together nicely. It's also a nice combination of human-made and organic matters. Now I'm using these quick and loose vertical lines to create the texture of the bark. And it's a really satisfying process to trace these lines out. Again, I'm not copying, I'm just summarizing the feel of these lines carved out by Mother Nature on the tree trunk. Accentuate the outline of this tree with a thicker or harder hand pressure with my fountain pen. Now adding more urban details, the awning here, extremely foreshortened side views of awnings in front of the man, and then the corner of a building. Because of my sitting position, the buildings right across the street over here, they are very foreshortened. Drawing the street sign attached to a lamppost. The pole here, yeah, that's the top, and I'm just going outside the picture. Accentuate the right side of the tree trunk and extending this very long horizontal line for the traffic lights. And it's also, that horizontal bar on top there is another framing element, just like the tree trunk and the flower bush on the bottom. So now I'm drawing this lamppost with traffic lights and signs attached to it. The lovely little lamp on top bending down. This extremely foreshortened heritage building and the windows, just capturing the essence of a building, the outline, and then these very skinny foreshortened windows. And drawing these foreshortened buildings, I think, is a really nice way to create drama in the urban sketch. We don't have to always sketch the perfect front view of buildings all the time. Yeah, so I think I'm inspired by other urban sketchers who like to sketch alleys by sitting in the middle and then sketching those foreshortened buildings on both sides of that alley or street. I think it's really, really cool. Now I'm adding these abstract urban structures on the bottom of those foliage that I just drew. And those far away, more modern buildings. They're closer to the end of the street there. All of these buildings, they are in rectangular prism shapes that we could see two sides of them. Keep overlapping some more and adding those essential details like crisscross lines for the glassy window surface or squares for windows. Just drew another tree canopy and tiny cars parked underneath another tree canopy. Drawing very spontaneously without trying to copy what's out there. Again, exact physical accuracy is not that important. If you want to sketch and capture a scenery very quickly, well, except for photorealism, that could take many, many hours to do. That's a different story. If you want to just capture the essence, you have to let go of the thinking that of making everything look, physically the same as reality. I found sketching on location and spontaneously to be a really nice way to release my creative energy, giving myself a lot of freedom and embrace my mistakes and just capture the essence, the spirit of that place without being too tight and spending too much time on it. So sketching on location is a super enjoyable experience. It's a very different story compared to like painting on canvas, spending many, many hours trying to create a really perfect picture that's ready to be framed and displayed in an art gallery. And now I'm drawing these little roofs peeking out in between the trees, and then these display windows, the doors of the stores, restaurants on the other side of the street, under the trees' canopies. accentuate those tree trunks and those large branches, and more modern apartment buildings behind, just using very simplified shapes to get it done without adding too much details. That gives a sense of distance when you omit a lot of details for those buildings there in the back. Now I want to focus more on rendering these buildings here right in the front. Okay, just drew the 3D shape of the awning and the display windows here on the ground floor, shading in these window panels with solid brown ink for a sense of depth for that building. And the shape of this building that's pretty close to me on the other side, a little bit of perspective. And then quickly drawing a little person passing by. The head is actually very small, and the nice Victorian style details for that building. The sign of the business, and then the awning, which is a triangular prism shape popping out from the surface of the building. These windows and panels, accentuation, and another person passing by. So adding people to an urban sketch is pretty important to give proportion, making these buildings look even bigger and grander. Accentuate the sidewalk. Alright, so I just finished drawing the traffic light, the back view, and the name of the street. So here I am on the corner of 6th Street and Columbia Street. Beginning with the very first, this is kind of like an underpainting of watercolors with a diluted lemon yellow. Because it's a bright sunny day, I want to depict that it's really a bright sunny day by painting that yellow as an underpainting. Diluted cerulean blue for the sky, soft transitioning toward the bottom, closer to the horizon, merging with the yellow. First layer for these trees is a mix of lemon yellow with lime green, or yellow ochre with lime green, blending on a bit of hooker's green for the bottom part and not touching the top of these canopies anymore because I need contrast. The top of these trees are illuminated by the sunshine. Yeah, so these glowing trees is one of the highlights that I really want to accentuate for this painting process, as well as these lush green leaves here in the foreground, starting with different ratios of lemon yellow and lime green, and then blending on a little bit of shade of green, hooker's green, and also a tiny bit of burnt sienna mix in. Keep it really fresh without mixing in too much brown into these greens. And now wetting the tree trunk with a mix of burnt sienna and yellow ochre, a bit more pure burnt sienna and raw umber for the next layer, wet onto wet, using these horizontal brush marks to follow the grainy texture of the trunk. And using this similar color, mixing in more orange for this building over here, closer to me. Yeah, so as I always mention, painting the similar colors first together, as always saves time. Rather than cleaning your brush constantly switching between the different colors. Find the same or similar colors first, paint them in first. I first started painting those greens and then these orange browns. Now it's time to add the blue purplish shadows. This is a really dramatic one here. Across the street, this is a mix of cobalt blue and a little bit of royal purple. I like to paint shadows in blue purplish tones. They don't look gray to me. They're always a lively value of bluish or purplish gray. Same with these shaded areas underneath the awnings and for the windows as well. And now I see the sun is moving in closer to my sketchbook. Yeah, you'll see that around the end. So I need to speed up a little bit, but not rushing. Just trying to capture a little bit more of the essence of this place by shading these trees even more with the mixture of hooker's green and a bit of burnt sienna. These trees are organic spheres. As I always mention, trees, bushes, and shrubs, they have this random shapes, but in general, they're all spheres. And then punching in these beautiful reds for these flowers, very similar like to roses. And then some leftover gray to depict the windows for the apartments there in the far distance, using little segments. And then some more intense shading for the awning there. I think that's a black awning. And some brown for that tree trunk there on the other side. Painting the man's shorts, and his shirt was a purple and the shade was blue. Alright, now as you can see, the sun is illuminating my page and I can't move further away from it. Yeah, so that's around the end of my sketching process. Just adding these final bits of colors for the traffic lights using vibrant yellow, and leftover grays for these posts, the lamp post and the hanging bar supporting the traffic light. Shaded a little bit with a more intense gray. A more intense green here. That's very much it. And now I'm heading home by the SkyTrain and then the bus. It's really nice to savor these last few days of summer. I will see you again very soon next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.